Hey guys, we're going to start by talking about the beginning of chapter 7, and we're going to start off by defining what consciousness really is. It is the state of being aware that we are conscious, and as our perception of what is going on in our minds, so the idea that we can have basically that we can understand what is happening as our mind functions. That's what we try to define consciousness as, and it includes our perception of what is going on around us. To be able to assess consciousness is not easy, and scientists have tried to figure out how to break into the person's mind, but that is also a problem right there. In particular, there's the easy problem of consciousness, which is the question of which particular patterns of brain activity underlie a particular conscious experience. Qualia is the entirely subjective experience a person has with a perception. The hard problem of consciousness is the question of how the brain processes result in our personal conscious experience. The brain's activity is similar whether we imagine something or actually see it, which is pretty exciting. And studies indicate that at least roughly the same brain regions are active when we are imagining something compared to when we are actually seeing something. The function of consciousness, let's answer that. All right, so the internal dialogue we have is when we're talking to ourselves in our mind and we can hear it. So basically the words and sentences passing through our mind as like a self-talk or inner speech. There's a thing called split brain patients, and split brain patients often offer cues, like clues to our consciousness without language. And there is a split brain, the result of surgery that destroys the pathway of communication between the two cerebral hemispheres. And the part that we cut in the brain to form a split brain patient is the corpus callosum, and it's like a band of axons in the middle of the brain between the two hemispheres. And the right brain cannot speak language, but it does understand it. So in split brain patients, the verbal mind tries to explain what the other mind is doing. And this is also confirmed by confabulation, which is where we fill in a gap of memory or understanding with a fabrication of the person believes to be true. We are not always aware of what the brain has decided to do. We have this thing called free will, which a lot of people, like to have, which is the power to make choices that are not really constrained by supernatural or non-physical forces. Now we're going to go into dreams, and which is just confusing to think about. And many aspects of sleep remain a mystery. Biological rhythms enforce a sleep-wake cycle. We have a biological clock, and a biological clock is a biological mechanism that keeps track of our time, which is why we usually get tired at night and awake in the morning, and even if you pull an all-nighter, you're still gonna get and that's also why we have jet lag, because our biological clock gets messed up. And our circadian rhythm, which is animals' active rest cycle with a duration of about 1 day. And that covers the beginning of chapter 7.